Hello everyone, I am Hariharan from VIT University here to give you an overview about Fedora. Fedora is an operating system based on the Linux kernel and it is open source. First of all, what is an operating system? Operating system provides an interface between the user and the hardware. It can be found in many of the appliances you have, like the laptops, your PCs, and in ATMs, in banks, and also in the websites. So, the usage of operating system is a very vast topic. Let's concentrate on the operating system Fedora. Fedora is actually developed by Red Hat. Red Hat is considered one of the best companies which is based on Linux. Red Hat is an American multinational company which was founded by Bob Young and Mark Irving. Red Hat is one of the leading Linux-based solution provider, and some of the products of Red Hat includes Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Red Hat OpenShift, and Red Hat Data Server. Fedora contains software distributed under a free and open source license and aims to be on the leading edge of such technologies. This is the notion of Red Hat also. Fedora also has a reputation for focusing on innovation, integrating new technologies early on, and working closely with upstream Linux communities. This can well be viewed through its logo. As you see on the screen, the logo can be split into three parts. One symbolizes infinity, the other freedom, and the other voice. The whole image signifies the infinite freedom given to the voice of its researchers who developed the product for the betterment of Fedora and its users. Fedora is an acronym that stands for Flexible Extensible Digital Object Repository Architecture. Fedora also comes with pre-installed LibreOffice, which is similar to the Microsoft Office, which many of you know, and also it comes with Firefox. Firefox is also a cool community-based product, and this comes pre-installed with Fedora. As you see on the screen, this is the usage statistic of Fedora, which is slightly declining over the past year, and this is the overall usage statistic on the usage statistic of Linux-based operating systems only. So Ubuntu leads the way of Linux-based operating systems. It is followed by Mint and followed by Arch, then Debian, and there comes Fedora at the fifth place. Fedora Linux started out as an undergraduate project by Warren Togami of the University of Hawaii. Actually, it was first developed as a single repository with well-tested packages for Red Hat Linux. Then Fedora also has an excellent forum which replies for the users, and it's very user friendly. It replies as soon as possible, and so much importance for the Fedora forum is given by the Fedora developers, as even the name of the newest version of Fedora is being voted in the community and then selected for the usage. Fedora also comes pre-installed in the EXO laptops, which is also known as the $100 laptops, which is developed by the One Laptop per One Child non-profit organization. Fedora is one of the coolest operating systems, and the architecture and the functions of Fedora is discussed later in this video by my friends Raj Abhishek and Sailesh Dev. So, you have seen the overview about Fedora, and now the architecture and the design is discussed for you by my friend Sailesh Dev. Thank you.
Hi, our project is Fedora, and I'll be briefing about the Fedora operating system. Fedora is a very stable and a powerful operating system. Fedora is one of the flavors of Linux, and personally, it's my favorite. I've used many flavors of Linux like Mint, Ubuntu, etc., and Fedora is my favorite. So, what is Fedora? Fedora is an operating system which is based on the Linux kernel developed by the community supported Fedora project and owned by Red Hat. Fedora contains software distributed under a free and open source license, and it's 100% free. It's also legal, and the most important being it's a redistributable operating system. The Fedora community is really huge and it has over 25,000 contributors. And as I've previously mentioned, the Fedora is a user-friendly operating system and simultaneously a powerful operating system and a very stable one, and providing security at its optimum level. Fedora is a free open source software, FOSS. So Fedora guarantees the four freedoms. The first being the freedom to run the program for any purpose. The second being the freedom to study how the program works and adapt it to our needs. So we can modify the code of the program, we can change it according to our needs, and we can customize it to the way we want it. And then Fedora is again an operating system where the applications can be in fact improved. It can be made much better. So we can distribute different copies. So the freedom to redistribute copies so that we can help others. And the fourth being the freedom to improve the program and release our improvements. The Fedora community is really huge, and programmers are continuously developing different applications and making them better and better. This is the primary advantage of open source softwares. As the operating system is open source, the applications developed for the operating systems are continuously monitored and many bugs are being fixed. Next, we're going to talk about the architecture. Intel x86 and ARM are the primary architecture supported by Fedora. Fedora is a specialized Fedora distribution for the Raspberry Pi. Next, we're going to talk about the distribution. Fedora distribution is distributed in several ways. The first and foremost being full distribution on DVD. That is, a DVD image, it contains all the major Fedora packages at the time of the release. The second being live image, a DVD image that can be used to create a live DVD or live USB drive, which can be optionally installed to a hard disk. And the third being minimal boot media. And the fourth being a live USB drive can be created using Fedora Live USB Creator or the DD command. And this chart it shows us the different versions of Fedora. Fedora started its original version with the Fedora 1 and it's codenamed as Yarrow. And the latest version of Fedora is Fedora 22, and it doesn't have a code name. And the first Fedora version to be launched without a code name was the Fedora 21st version. So this is basically a release timeline of the different versions of Fedora. Again, this shows us the family tree of the Fedora. Again, it's very clear from the family tree that the community for Fedora is really huge, and it just keeps developing and developing. Next, we're going to talk about the primary features of the Fedora operating system. What makes it unique from different operating systems, and why is it better when compared to other flavors of Linux? So the first and foremost, the primary feature is the booting time. Turning on a PC running Fedora to a GNOME login screen is possible in just less than 20 seconds. Obviously, this is not the record for the fastest boot time, but definitely Fedora has a very fast boot. And Fedora is a full Linux distribution and a full Linux distribution to be booted within 20 seconds is not possible until unless it's Fedora. The next primary feature is better power management. As far as Linux is concerned, it has never done a great job of laptop battery power management. Linux, it doesn't drink up that much power, so it usually ends up with decent battery life. But Fedora 15, it redesigned power management utilities, giving it better battery life when compared to other flavors of Linux. I personally checked this by installing Intec Battery Mark 1.1. It's an application and it's available online. You can install it and check it for yourself. So I used Windows XP in a VirtualBox virtual machine on my Lenovo ThinkPad, and it definitely proved that Fedora has better battery life. The next primary feature is better end user software. The community for Fedora is huge, and many different programmers keep developing different applications for Fedora. Fedora uses LibreOffice in place of OpenOffice as its office suite. LibreOffice is an improved version of OpenOffice. It looks the same, it works the same, but it's faster and it has many minor bug fixes, and it has far better Microsoft Office file format compatibility. And Oracle will no longer be putting any resources into OpenOffice, so LibreOffice is the most significant open source office suite yet that's still being actively developed. And in addition to all these, Fedora includes Firefox 4, and it's certainly better when compared to the older Firefox 3.x series. Next, my friend Raj Abhishek is going to talk about dynamic firewall. So as we can see from the slide, it is about dynamic firewall. So what is a firewall first of all? Well, firewall is a simple tool that allows you to control the network traffic between computer networks based on a rule set. Let's say you have your own private network and you have the public network, which is the internet. So the firewall is basically going to act as a medium that is going to decide whether to allow this public network to join with your internal private network based on the rule set that you write for the firewall. So Fedora offers this feature that's known as a dynamic firewall. So a dynamic firewall is all about in which where you can change the rule set of the firewall without restarting the firewall. Now, what's the use of a firewall being dynamic? I mean, you can always restart an existing firewall, and you can change the rule set. So the basic important point here to note is that when you are running another operating system within Fedora, let's say it's a virtual machine or a virtual private network. So when you are configuring such a system, you need not change the rule set by actually restarting the firewall over and over again. So this concept of dynamic firewall, it basically allows you to choose specific network requests dynamically without restarting it. And the next concept is about graphics. So Fedora offers a wide variety of graphic tools. Apart from the command line, the graphical user interface is pretty good when compared to other Linux distributions. For example, the language settings, the user authentication, you can configure your private network, you can start up a web server, you can configure firewalls, you can do all of this from a graphical user interface. And apart from that, it also provides you 3D support for graphic cards and some color management tools. Now, talking about Linux distributions, in which majority of them are open source, people are constantly contributing towards these open source projects. So every day, some new bugs are fixed, some new issues are raised, and the community keeps contributing to the existing code base of the Fedora project. So it is very important for a Linux distribution to support automatic updates, and Fedora is very good at it. For example, if you see applications such as the Linux kernel, the Firefox, and the OpenOffice, all of these have the capability to automatically update themselves as the code changes. And the other important point is that people choose these Linux distributions on servers basically because they are more secure compared to other Windows or other non-open source and private servers. So Fedora, it lays a great emphasis on the security because Fedora's firewall is available right from the start, and customizing it is not at all difficult. So you can completely control what kind of permission level that you want your server or your computer to have when you're connected to a network. And Fedora also promotes a security enhanced Linux. It's called as SE Linux feature that implements multiple security policies. Now, this is not the case with uh, all Linux distributions, and the custom security enhancements are also available. So this is one of the reasons why Fedora is actually used in many of the servers, because you can customize the operating system to be highly secure when you are running an application, and make sure that it is 100% secure and it is away from all threats and vulnerabilities. And many other um, Linux OSs are based on Fedora. They're actually called as the derivatives because the baseline is from the Fedora project. So some notable ones are the Corora. As you can see, Corora is a completely and it's an easy to use system for general computing that just works out of the box. I mean, everything is a part of it, and this particular project is based on Fedora. And the Red Hat enterprise version of Linux, it's also based on the Fedora's baseline. And another OS called Tizen, which is used in many embedded devices, is also based on the Fedora project. Now coming to the softwares. Softwares are very important part of an OS because softwares allow you to actually make use of the services provided by the operating system very effectively. And being a desktop user or using a Linux distribution at home, we would like to have a wide variety of softwares in a computer. So Fedora comes installed with a wide ranges of software. For example, we have the LibreOffice and Firefox, and even if the software is not included as a part of the OS, you can always add an additional repository from another external source and use it in your Fedora machine. Now, to install softwares, you can either use the yum or the DNF package manager, or if you don't want to work in command line, you can completely work in the GNOME software, which is Fedora's default package manager for the front end. And spins. Now spins are nothing but, every version or every OS of Linux, let's say Ubuntu, Fedora. Ubuntu has its own spins. Fedora has its own spins. So spins are nothing but they are variations of a specific Linux distribution. For example, uh, each of the spin, they pertain to a specific use. For examples, uh, some are specifically meant for gaming, some are specifically meant for scientific computing. Like all of them are based on the same Linux project. For example, the Fedora spins, if you see the base OS, everything is going to be Fedora, but the OS is going to be customized in the sense the softwares will differ in different spins. For example, the gaming version of the Fedora, that kind of a spin, will have more support for graphic drivers, and the scientific computing spin of the Fedora will have software such as SciPy, Octave, and other mathematical tools to actually allow you to do some scientific computing. So, who uses Fedora after all? Well, you may not know, but the Roadrunner is the number one supercomputer in the world that is running on Fedora. And many universities and institutes today are promoting open source projects, and most of them are using this Fedora OS. And NASA itself, by them, in their systems, they're using Fedora. And many hosting companies that provide us a platform to upload our application online are also based on Fedora. So Fedora's users are many, and it's growing day by day, and the features offered are extremely, changing, and the community is constantly growing. And I think by the end of the Fedora 16 project, the dynamic firewall would be the default firewall. So you can see pretty much a lot of changes happening in, even a small change in the version numbers. Thank you.